Nico and Ruby, Jack and Jill, Igor and Bubba all have something in common.
They were all rescued by the Tucson Wildlife Center, and joining us today is Bubba himself, D-Kid, and Joan Cass. Ladies, Bubba, how are you guys?
Very good. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining us. And talk about, before we go any further, talk about who you have with us here today.
This is the great horned owl. He fell from the nest about 14 years ago and broke his left wing. And it was repaired. And he can fly, but he can't fly silently. So an owl has to be a silent flyer to be able to hunt. So he's been with us for the 14 years. The man who brought him in a little fluffy ball in his hand, the man's name was Bubba. So that's why we call him Bubba.
So why does he not fly silently anymore?
If you can see the way this wing sort of sticks out differently.
Okay.
It's not aerodynamic enough.
Oh.
It makes a little bit of a whistling noise that we can't hear, but the critters can.
So he can't hunt, he can't be on his own, he can't survive that way.
Right.
So when people bring animals to your center, you also rehabilitate them?
Yes, that is our mission here.
That's,
Is rescue, rehab, and release. That is the mission. Yes.
And so you have brought a board with you today that talks about the animals that you currently have at the center right now. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, this kind of runs the entire gamut of all the wildlife we have, just about all the wildlife we have in southern Arizona. So currently, as you can see, we have about 157 animals on our property right now. Year to date, we've rescued 1,063. So that has already exceeded the entire year of last year that we have rescued. And we've just built Southern Arizona's first wildlife hospital.
Okay.
So a lot of that is the visibility, increased visibility in the community. A lot of people know that we're here, so they show up at the hospital with their critters. And just knowing that we're here, we're getting a lot more calls. We send our ambulances out to get the larger, more dangerous animals like the bobcats and javelinas. So, yes.
Wow. And you have 7 bobcats right now?
Yes.
Wow.
That's about 5 kittens.
Okay.
And 2 adults, one of which is a surrogate mother. So she lives on the property. She's one of the sanctuary animals. And she actually is a surrogate mother to all the baby orphan bobcats that we get.
So that's almost her job, is that when you bring in new bobcats, she takes them. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. We have that in several species.
As you talk about animals, javelinas, bobcats, some of the more dangerous animals, if I find one, if I come across one, I can call you and you guys will come and safely remove them.
No, that's a removal service.
Okay.
These are animals that are injured or have been orphaned.
Okay.
Babies, yes, right. That's what we do.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So walk us through that process if we do see a bobcat or a javelina that is injured and is on our property. What are the next steps?
Well, what you would do is you would call our hospital, which is 290-9453. Somebody will help you on the other end here. We'll determine just the extent of the injuries, if it's something that we can work you through, if it's really not injured, or if it is. If it really is, and it is a larger animal, such as a bobcat or a javelina, then we'll send one of our 4 24/7 ambulances out to the scene and pick the animal up. If it's a small animal that's not dangerous, such as a quail or a bunny or something, we try to get people to bring them into the hospital to minimize our costs, because our expenses are very high, because we drive around all of southern Arizona up to the Nogales border, New Mexico. We go a lot of places, so we try to minimize our costs. So after that, we bring them into our hospital, into the triage center, where they are taken in and given a full exam. If they need surgery or any other kind of rehabilitation, we do that. They're put out to a pen that we would use or into the intensive care unit, depending on their care. They stay until they are good to go, should I say, and then we release them. We like to release them back into the area that they came from.
Okay.
If that's not viable, if it's not a good place, if it's a dangerous place for humans or for the animals, then we will create, in javelina's case, we'll create herds out of orphans, and then we release them into the wild as herds. So they actually create families. Or we will take the animals that are to a place that's safe with good, viable habitat for them.
And so when you guys are going through this process, what's the biggest challenge you guys face?
Finding viable habitats.
Okay.
Yes. With with the increasing encroachment of humans and more subdivisions being built, we are increasingly squeezing the animals out of their natural environment. So we're always looking for ranchers. We're looking for people with large spaces that don't have homes nearby, that aren't near hunting areas also, and that have good sources of food and water where the animals can find them. So we really urge anybody to let us know if they have land like that, because resources are running scarce for these animals.
And you talked about how expensive rescuing these animals are. Where do you get your funding from?
Only from donations from individuals
Okay.
solely. Yes, we get no government funding. We do pick up animals from, the police department calls us, sheriffs, game and fish. A lot of different governments do call us, and state agencies. But we only get in individual donations is what our primary,
Okay.
yes,
So
income
I'm sure
is.
you could use more
Definitely.
donations.
Right.
Definitely. And I'd like to stress that of these 1,063 animals that we've had year to date, over 500 of them have come in only the last 5 weeks.
Oh my.
So this is to let you know the need and the donations that we really need now for the help for these animals to continue our mission.
Is that a weird increase? I mean, does that have to do with the temperatures and how hot it is, or is that just, 500 in the last couple of weeks? That's a lot.
It's half of the year to date.
Yes, it's baby season, in spring and summer, and so they're getting a little older, they're getting into trouble, they're being orphaned, or something happens to their parents or whatever. So it's always a busy time for us during this time, but this has just like gone way above any year that we've ever had. But we're really trying to get out into the community to let them know that we're here, and along with our hospital, people are just they're responding to it.
Excellent. Well, ladies,
Yeah.
thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
joining
much.
us. Bubba, it was a pleasure. And to learn more, you can call 290-9453 or go online to TucsonWildlife.com. Again, that number is 290-9453 and TucsonWildlife.com.
Coming up on the Morning Blend, do husbands and wives really need to